This week on the Spike and Jones podcast.
Hey, welcome to the Spike and Jones podcast. Today we're going to try to deal with how we feel or don't know how to feel about the tragic, unexpected loss of Chris Cornell, and how we feel or don't know how to feel about it.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Spike and Jones.
May 18th, the morning of May 18th.
Start date 5/18/17.
Today's one of those weird days. Come into CBS today and saw Sarah when I walked in. And even though she's not like bawling or anything, walking around the room waiting to go over to Seattle Center and stand around the fountain to mourn the loss of a Seattle icon, it's still a shock. It's still a freaking weird shock today.
Are they doing that today? That's just something you assume they always do.
I was just referencing the Kurt Cobain tragedy in '94,
yeah.
And I do consider today's thing to be a tragedy simply because Chris was a hell of a talent. Definitely my favorite Seattle vocalist. Not my favorite Seattle band, but definitely my favorite Seattle vocalist. I mean, outshined. Holy crap, dude! That's a performance.
Yeah. I'll give you that. He probably was the best voice.
Yeah.
Of his generation.
Yeah.
I would say.
Our generation, brother.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
He's our generation. Shit, he's a year younger than you.
He is, yeah. Yeah. He was.
A year and a half older than me.
And I was awoken to the news by a text at 2 a.m. From our drummer, Jeff.
Were he and Jeff close?
No, I don't think close, but acquaintances, as a lot of us were honored to be an acquaintance. I mean, I had conversed with Chris on numerous occasions.
Yeah.
But couldn't call him a friend.
Yeah.
Well,
especially after the last experience, which I wouldn't necessarily blame on him. The last experiences he was supposed to be on your show.
Well, yeah, but I wouldn't blame that on him.
That's what I'm saying. I wouldn't blame it on him.
Yeah.
It was just a snafu, right?
Well,
radio management snafu or something.
Some scheduling kerfuffle.
But doesn't it make you wonder that maybe he was just struggling in general, and maybe he just couldn't bring himself to do another public, pub performance, if you will?
I guess I hadn't even gone down that. It's funny. I hadn't even gone down that alley yet because I'm still kind of not knowing how to feel about all this today. Because there's so many elements of this. It's another brilliant talent lost from our special little corner of history.
Yeah.
And now when you look at, I guess, first Andrew, and then Kurt, then Lane,
yeah,
and now Chris, I mean, and the thought wasn't lost on me or a lot of other people that what the fuck is it about the singers? No one else from any of these bands is gone. No one. From any.
Mike Starr died.
Well, true. My apologies to Mike Starr's family if they happen to hear.
But he didn't have the quote unquote, I hate to say it, he didn't have the brand recognition. And so he does sort of fall by the wayside.
And he had already been jettisoned from the band, and he was, I get you, but all these guys went out on top.
Yeah.
I mean, all of them.
Yeah.
And for Chris, they broke up late 90s, I guess. The numbers are going to be a little weird for me.
98, 97, 98.
Yeah, and then he did Audio Slave for a while, and but they got back together and they're playing, they're writing. Yep. Middle of a freaking tour. He had just done the Temple thing.
Yep.
So I don't know how to feel about this yet. Clearly I don't get depression. We've talked about that before. And I don't mean I don't get depressed. I just don't get depression. Doesn't mean I'm not empathetic to it. I just can't wrap my head around the concept or how that could be such a powerful thing. So I guess I'm blessed that I can't get it. But it seems to me the things that depress people, he didn't suffer from. I don't know. I don't know what his internals were like. I don't know what his private situation was. But he's a father of young children, a married father of young children.
He didn't. Well, he didn't suffer from it on the outside, but perhaps he did what I call church face, which is I'm not making fun of anything here. I don't want to make fun of this experience today, but so many people put on church face, right? They put on airs. They put on a safe face, a comfortable face.
Yeah.
Not even a survivor's face, but just it's falsehood, masking very, very giant struggle inside. I cannot imagine. So let me put it this way. I've been very, very deeply sad. I've had moments where I shared last week where I felt like I broke through the fringes of what I think somebody in a massively depressive state can experience right before they take their life.
Okay.
But I cannot imagine taking my life. I cannot imagine living with a feeling of perpetual doom or worthlessness or brokenness
or hopelessness,
right? Something that would say that is a fair trade.
Right.
You know what I mean?
This will be less painful.
Yeah.
I can't grasp it.
No, I can't either.
And so I don't know how to feel. I don't know how to, first you're shocked and saddened, and then you hear that it was suicide, or that's what when this airs, they'll know more. We could be so off base.
Right. I mean, that's what CNN is saying, and of course we know they're all fake news anyway.
Well, thanks. I needed that.
Sorry, I did.
No, it's okay. I needed that.
First Trump, then
they found a cord around his neck.
Yeah, that's what I heard. In the bathroom.
Right.
I mean,
and this is callous as fuck, but I hope he was doing a Michael Hutchins.
Well,
I'd almost feel better if it was an accidental.
I actually think that's what happened. I do.
I don't know. I mean,
I was just watching Norm Macdonald last night joking about that very thing.
I'd feel better if it I hate to say it, and that's horrible, but I'd feel better if it was, because I'm pissed at him.
Yeah, me too. I am too.
I'm genuinely pissed
because he was such a talent, and he was so bright. When you heard his interviews, you could tell he was very thoughtful.
Absolutely, the guy's I mean, we were supposed to interview Chris about the movie soundtrack he had done for the movie The Promise.
Yeah,
which was it was a horrible flop of a movie.
Right,
and it was a depressing, unenjoyable movie.
Right,
but it was an important movie, and his family had a connection to the story, and so, it was important to him, and it got done, and there's got to be a sense of accomplishment and pride in that. And again, he was a father of young children, and his band was back together, and he got to do what he loved doing, and he got to share his gift.
Yeah.
So to be at a point where you feel that taking your life is the better option, I just can't wrap my head around it.
Yeah,
and I don't know how to feel about it, and I'm horribly saddened at the loss of another brilliant talent. And and it wasn't drugs. At least I don't know. Yeah. We don't know yet. But it clearly, he didn't seem like the guy who had a drug problem.
Yeah, I don't think
there was never a story of him with a drug problem.
Yeah, I do think it was autoerotic. I do. I really do. That was the very first thing I thought of, because they said where he was.
Yeah, he
was naked, the whole thing, and I'm like, oh wow, that is insane.
Yeah,
and in a way, I mean, this is sort of perverse on the opposite side. In a way, I hope it's not, because not that I want. I mean, he's gone. Yeah. No matter what, we can't bring him back. We can't hug him and make it better. He's gone. But that's such a brutal footnote. If that is, the automatic response is rarely anything but, the guy died masturbating. You know what I mean? And granted, I'm not even. None of us know.
No, we don't know.
But if that did happen, which was the case with Hutchins, and which was the case with
David Carradine,
it's the first thing you think of when you think of these guys.
Yeah, it's such a shocking and startling, I should say, element. That it's hard not to get anything but that to be your first thought.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny. I was just listening to an INXS song yesterday. I was getting coffee, and it was on the soundtrack being played at Starbucks. And and my all-time favorite INXS song came out, and I was like, "Oh, I love that." By the way, he died jerking off.
Yeah.
I mean, you're right. It's such a powerful element. It takes over every bit of the conversation.
Yeah.
So, in a sense, I guess I would hate for that to be his footnote, if you will. But I'd almost prefer that he took his own life.
Yeah.
Because there's an anger element to you committed suicide.
Yeah.
There's a,
Yeah, this is if this is the way it is, this is an accident.
Yeah, if. Yeah, no, I hear you. And then, God, it's almost feels weird to speculate because I hate when people do that and people hate when we do that. And,
Yeah, we apologize right now because who knows?
You know what? No, I'm not going to apologize. I appreciate where you're going.
I apologize.
but this is how we deal with it. Mm-hmm. This is how we deal with the grief and the confusion and the bag of snakes of emotion that everybody's feeling today at the time of this recording.
Did you have to use bag of snakes?
Is that a sex thing too? I don't know. I guess I don't.
I just think of like a bag of snakes.
A bag of snakes. I forget where I heard the term.
I gotta make myself laugh here.
I forget where I heard the term. Help me unravel this bag of snakes. It's just it's when there's a lot to process and some confusion. Yeah, I refer to that as a bag of snakes. Help me untangle this bag of snakes. Great kids game, by the way. Bag of snakes. Oh yeah.
I can't stop laughing.
Good. We all deal with grief in a different way.
I know the first thing is my mom's listening to this and she's like, I don't know if I want to look this up.
Father, forgive him.
Like, I don't know if this is a thing. You know what I mean? I don't know if I want to see a photo of that on the web. Yeah. So I have not experienced this, but for everything I've read, for those who are into sort of magnifying their
experience,
their sexual experience, there is a way to reduce the oxygen flow to your brain while you're in the process of sexual activity. Boy, I'm being careful. And the resultant orgasm is supposedly, well, who knows, but is a lot more intense.
Because orgasms aren't intense enough?
I know.
Really, people?
Well, I'm 50 now.
Well, you remember? Come on.
Instead of like, you
remember. Come on, it hasn't been that long.
When the shirt, excuse me, not the shirt, when the sheet went right up your tail, it's just like, whoa.
I don't want to know where that's about.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I guess I should stop speculating if this is how he passed away.
Well, I mean,
but it just seems like it based on
it's funny when
some of the details.
When I first heard the story, I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Did he have a brain aneurysm?
Well, that's what I thought.
I thought about the way the guy sings.
He had a heart attack or something.
Did he bust something loose during performance? And because the story I heard about it, like I said, I got a text to wake up to it at 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning.
Right.
They had just played a show last night in Detroit. I mean, he had after the show.
Yep.
So I was like, okay, what's the timeline here? It must have been something unexpected, sudden, and just catastrophic.
Right.
Well, then, and funny, it's I'm coming to work this morning, coming to meet you, and I get a text from Nate that says, "Oh man, suicide." I'm like, "What?"
Yeah.
And because when I got up in the morning, Jeff had texted me. I got up in the morning and I started looking for details, and there's nothing. Family asks for your respect and privacy while they work with a medical examiner to determine cause of death. I'm thinking, okay, at that point, it's got to be a heart, a blood vessel, an embolism, whatever the hell you call it, whether it's a stroke or something.
An aneurysm.
Something.
Right.
And then you hear the S word thrown around.
Yeah.
And I was genuinely honest about the way when I said, I almost hope it was the other thing because the resentment could go away. I hope it was an accident. We'll say, I hope it was an accident.
Yeah.
Maybe that's how we'll couch it. I hope it was an accident because I'm too confused and shocked and sad and angry if it was the other one. And that's not fair for me to say because it's not my monster to wrestle with. It was his monster to wrestle with, obviously. I mean, if it's depression to the point of suicide, that's a monster you're dealing with, and the monster won.
Yeah.
I mean, I have less sympathy for drug addiction. I know it's a medical condition. I know it's not a moral weakness. But I also know that there's ample help available.
Yep.
For drug addiction. And all you got to do is effort. You can effort your way out of drug addiction. I don't know that you can effort your way out of depression. I don't know that you can. I mean, even the science of fighting depression, whether it be through therapy or through chemical treatment. It's hit and miss. It's trial and error. So we don't know. Who knows how to win that battle?
Yeah. I, having experienced suicide through 3 of my friends in the last, couple of decades, one 2 years ago, and hearing in his voice, stark, just absolute darkness and the inability to get over the feeling. So I have a very, I had a very close friend who I met not actually that long before he passed away, but we just became fast friends. It would be similar to meeting you and then having you decide to pull the plug tomorrow. It would just be a terror. It'd be a shock. And I was so upset. He was struggling. And one day he shared with me why he was struggling. He'd been a drug addict at 19. He ended up taking his life at 31. And he told me his very first memory. And I said, what's your very first?
Was it abuse?
It was worse. Oh. His very first memory was in the bathtub with his mother and his brother, with his mother drowning his brother, killing him next to him in the bathtub. That is his first memory. And he cried and cried. He was telling me the story. And so he had, what did he have? Survivor's guilt. Can you imagine your first memory being burned into your psyche?
I can't.
Of survivor's guilt. So he lived for 31 years feeling like I don't deserve to be here. I can't. He could not get over it. And the day before he died, he called me up. He was out in New York, and I was in Bellevue. I remember right where I was at. I was walking down the street and talking to him on the phone and trying to talk him off the frickin' edge of the cliff. And his name was Mike, that's all I'm going to say. And I said, Mike, you got to just come back out here and visit with me. Stay with me for a couple weeks. Just come and stay. Because he had done that at Thanksgiving. He had come out and stayed with us at Thanksgiving. He and his wife were going through a divorce. It was just really brutal. And everything was really, really ramped up. And he said he would try, and I was kind of tough on him, Yeah. And I just said, Mike, look, I love you. You can do this. You can fight through. And then the next day, I didn't hear from him. And so I just thought I'd wait a couple days and kind of re-catch up with him. And he had 2 drug overdose attempts in the last, say, 40 days.
Like attempted suicide?
Yeah. And they found him in his car one time, and he had taken like 50 pills. And he was in his car. He wasn't driving to the hospital like, oh my God, I'm scared. He wanted to go. He just wanted to go asleep. He wanted to fall asleep and stay asleep. Mm-hmm. And he was yelling at me saying, everybody's lying. I'm not trying to kill myself. I'm not trying to kill myself. And so I believed him.
Yeah.
And so I didn't really pursue whatever I maybe should have pursued to help save him. But long story short is I got a call Sunday morning. So that was a Friday night. I talked to him, and I got a call from his wife on Sunday morning. And I looked at my phone and had her name, and I knew. And I just picked up the phone, and she goes, Mikey died, and I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And I got to go, And it really sucks still. It really, really hurts. I miss him tremendously. One of my favorite people in the whole world. Just the greatest smile, greatest laugh. He was like instantly Uncle Mike to my kids. They loved him. God, they loved him. Oh, God. So suicide's, no duh. It sucks. So whatever happened to Chris, I don't know. But God dang, man, if you're listening to this podcast and you feel like crap, just freaking email me.
Yeah.
I'll go to your house.
We'll perform this live for you, which may make things worse.
Yeah.
Let's be careful.
Let's meet you
Let's
at
be
a
careful.
ar.
Yeah.
And we're gonna have a table over here with a whole bunch of alcohol for you. But I mean, seriously, I mean,
I haven't lost anybody.
it's the worst, dude.
Yeah, I
It's
can
the
tell. I mean,
worst.
clearly, you're still right there.
Well, I know how he died.
you
and
wonder-
I'm not going to talk about it
Well,
here.
yeah, okay.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to talk about it on the podcast.
Yeah.
But he died in a terrible, terrible, terrible way.
Yeah.
And so my everything in me, I can only imagine it, right? So I
I
imagine
think the worst death would be strapped to the front row seat of a Kid Rock concert, over and over and over again.
I saw Survivor in 1985. That was pretty close.
Oh God, you poor man.
There's only so many times you can hear
and
that
yet
song.
you came through.
You know what? Can I
What?
say this?
Huh?
One of the best shows I ever saw in my life.
Whatever.
I don't know how they did it. I only knew one song, obviously, because
Yeah.
that's the only hit they
They
had.
played it again and again. Right?
Actually, that's not
It's
true. I
played
think they had like two or
every
three.
third song they play.
Yeah,
It,
pretty
so
much.
they do.
It
Yeah.
was great. Somehow it was just they put on. It was a very visual show, which distracted me from all the crap.
I think this podcast is going to be depressing enough without reviewing a Survivor concert to people. I think now you've stretched and gone
Think
too
about
far.
this. I've
No,
never
I won't.
seen Bruce Springsteen live,
But you've seen
I've seen
Survivor.
Survivor. I haven't seen U2,
And yet
but
you're
I've
here?
seen Survivor.
God, there is no God.
Can we talk about U2?
God, can we please?
Okay. Because I didn't go. Clearly, we'd be talking about it a different way.
Yeah. I did get to go. And that's funny you bring that up because I have literally been on a euphoric love high for the last couple days from that show. You know, I mean that. It's funny. I fell in love with U2 in high school in the early '80s.
Like Boy in October.
Yeah. You know, and then when Live Aid happened and everybody else got it, you know, when they did bad at Live Aid and the whole world said, "Oh,
Yeah, they did Pride there, I think.
yeah," but when they did bad,
Yeah.
that's when the world was that's when the world said, "Holy fuck!"
Yeah.
So when they played bad at CenturyLink Field Sunday night, I was literally bawling in the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my wife and I. It was funny. I was going to go. I knew I wasn't going to miss it because I had missed their last time in town about 6 years ago, and my wife had gone. I had gotten tickets, and I was supposed to go with her, and I ended up getting asked to do a charity event, which I didn't want to pass up on. So I was up in the San Juan Islands helping a friend's charity, and
Tough.
Melissa went. I know, it was a golf tournament for Pat O'Day. You know, I mean, it's not like believe me, I'm not complaining about it, but I love U2. I've seen them so many times in tour. And especially Joshua Tree, which for me, I mean, we've talked about this, I think, in the past, in 1987, when I was so brokenhearted that I had to leave my friends and family and move to another state.
Yeah.
And I put, you know, I lived on Frank Sinatra and Joshua Tree that summer. That's all I listened to pretty much.
Yeah, it's an indelible time.
You know, and that's just a magical record. So when they're coming and they're going to do all of Joshua Tree, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to miss this. So I got one floor seat, one GA, general admission floor seat, because I like to go early and stay late.
Were they actually assigned seats?
No.
Okay, so it was true
floor.
GA.
Yeah, just the floor.
Okay.
No seating, standing room. You know, standing around.
Yeah.
But I bought a second ticket and told Melissa that I wanted her to go with me, and she's like, "Yeah, I'd love to." So she did, and we went early and we stayed late. You know, so we're we're on the floor in the crowd, and they came. The what's the word? The trendy thing to do now is do a little mini stage.
Oh yeah, I heard about this.
in the
They
middle.
came out in the middle.
You know,
and-
the Stones did that. I've seen the Stones
Right,
do that
right.
before. I've seen-
Intimate performance.
Yeah, right. And that's because Bruce does that. It's got a little. He walks out and does a little something in the middle of the crowd. But they had this little runway that was literally shaped like a Joshua tree. You know, it came out from the stage and had a little couple of branch
Are you
areas.
serious?
Yeah. You should YouTube some videos of the show
Wow.
because they're everywhere already. And we're sitting about 25 yards from the stage and about 10 yards from the center stage. Okay, looking at the stage, we're kind of off to the right. If you're looking at stage, 25 yards back, 10 yards from that little center stage. Well, they come out walking to the center stage, and I figured they would open up and then come out and do a little intimate middle, slow down, calm the crowd down, then build them back up again at kind of moment. But instead, Larry walked out first and started doing the Sunday Bloody Sunday drum riff. And then here comes Edge walking down, and Adam's coming down the other way, and they're meeting on this little platform. And Bono comes out and they do Sunday Bloody Sunday.
Did he come up in a Pop-Tart?
No. They all just walk. That's funny.
Because you know what I mean.
Yeah. They just come walking out, low key, low tech. Their first hit.
Cool. They don't have to. Nothing, right. No, nothing to prove.
And that wasn't their first hit. Don't chastise me. They closed with "I Will Follow," which was their first hit.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a great way.
Last encore of the night. That's
a great way to end.
They do Sunday Bloody Sunday. They do New Year's Day.
That's how they started?
Yeah. Sunday Bloody Sunday.
How do you go?
Hold
where
on.
do you go from there?
I'll tell you where they go from there.
I know. Well, I heard
they do
the whole
Sunday Bloody Sunday.
Streets have no name.
No. They do Sunday Bloody Sunday. Then they do Bad.
God.
And at this point, when he starts that guitar, the ding, ding, ding.
Yeah, right.
And I messed up.
To fall apart.
I didn't start to. I fall apart. I messed up, and I'm just fucking blubbering. And Melissa's looking at me like, "What are you? God, your vagina's showing."
Somebody comes over and pops a selfie with you.
I'm like,
Spike's a
Then they did that into a sort of Homecoming off of Fire of Unforgettable Fire.
Right.
Another one that I just adore.
Yeah.
Into Pride in the Name of Love off that album. And I'm like,
that's how they started?
That's the first five. And I'm just like, okay. And I'm like, and that's those five songs, like Take Me Now. I'm done. I've had enough. I'm good.
Yeah, those are the ones I actually care about.
Right. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah.
Well, then and we're standing in the crowd in the stage, and I didn't see the 360 tour, but I saw enough video of it to know.
Right.
And I saw Pop Mart, and I saw Zooropa, and I saw them all. Right. I mean, massive.
Yeah, they just keep ramping it.
Right. Just productions of Jesus. The 360 tour, they actually showed the stadium from space.
Yeah.
They did a link up to the space station and zoomed in and showed you that's you. And
Yeah.
Melissa told me that, and I saw videos, but
so immediately just like
the stage. Too soon. No one will see what you just did.
Yeah.
Too soon.
Like all of a sudden you hear
too
this.
soon. Yeah. Well, so you've heard about the video board, right?
Yes.
Well, we're standing in the audience waiting for the show. Watching Mumford & Son, who are great, and I love them. Had never seen them live.
Yeah,
so
I was
it
wondering
fun.
what your thoughts were.
I love them. Because it's such a traditional music-based, genre. I love that folk rock, whatever however you want to label that, trad rock.
Yeah.
There's this big tan, wall behind the stage with a little bit of a bend to it, and a gray Joshua tree painted onto it, and that was kind of bigger than the stage setup. I mean, we're talking 70 foot tall and 500 feet
like
wide.
Roger Waters designed the thing.
Right, but it's just a flat fucking wall.
Right.
And there's a little bit of a bend, and I'm looking at what the hell? Why? What? I'm thinking, I hope that opens up or something. Is that but I'm looking at it, and you can tell it's not a screen. It's not a curtain. It's not going to drop and reveal some super stage. I'm thinking, okay, well, I guess, they're going back 30 years for their album. They're going to just keep it simple. And they come.
It's just a backdrop.
Right. It's just a plain flat backdrop. And they do the 5-song open, and then they start the opening chords to Streets Have No Name.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the wall is now blood fucking red.
Yeah.
And lit up.
Yeah.
And with just the silhouette of the Joshua tree. And we're like, okay, that's cooler than
You
fuck.
mean business.
Okay. Oh, okay. It's not just a taupe backdrop now. Okay. And
did you use the word taupe?
yeah, I think it was
That's
probably,
awesome. Just the fact that it's taupe. Are you sure it's not a dusty pink?
I'm sure it was a taupe.
Or a beige?
No, with a moon crust gray.
I'm a fan of burnt sienna, personally.
It was never not dark to be burnt sienna.
Definitely
So,
not.
but for those of you who haven't heard, and if you haven't, I can't believe it. The big blood red wall turns into a high def video of, them of a desert highway in Joshua Tree,
Right.
and it's
awesome. Yeah.
My jaw dropped. I'm just like,
Yeah.
watching this band play this album that was literally, this album may have saved my life. And I'm watching this video board, and it's mesmerizing.
It took you back.
It totally did. And then they jump into, I still found I'm looking for, and all of a sudden your video's traveling through the desert in Joshua, and there's huge Joshua trees, and it's high def, and every song had a different video for it, and the band sounded impeccable. And you forget that it's just 4 guys making this happen. And
That's awesome.
But when they're playing those early hits, and it's just them on that little stage without the massive wall of production, you have a genuine appreciation for them as musicians and for this music. And then they get up in front of this time machine,
Yeah.
and you're like, holy, and just the energy in the crowd was just like, everybody was there. It was like, okay, all is right with the world right now.
Bullet the Blue Sky is my favorite track off of that record.
Yeah.
Did they have like a cool, like a fighter plane background? You know how they talk about that? Here come the fighter planes.
They had a group of average Americans,
Really?
I'll say, of all stripe and color and size and age, standing in this next to this ramshackle old, one-room buildings in the middle of nowhere,
Right.
out in the Southwest, and they're all just putting on an army helmet, one after another.
Wow.
And next thing you know, and that's the first time that the video board was used to show the band live.
Oh,
Prior to that, it was all just a background video,
right.
for everything.
Projections, if you will.
But then they start using effects for Bono singing, and he's like kind of distorted in
the
a
camera and
yes,
all that
yes,
stuff, yeah.
And the Edge is playing that one part of the song, and there's Edge playing, but like sparks are flying off his guitar on the video board. I can't even describe how fucking cool it was.
Wow.
I mean, just beyond cool. And when they closed Joshua Tree with I think "Mother That Disappeared" is the last song. "Mothers That Disappeared."
So they played it in order?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
First note to last.
Wow.
In order.
Okay.
And they closed with the last song on Joshua Tree, and he's like, "Where's Eddie Vedder?" And brings Vedder out
Wow.
to sing on it. And then there's an ending. There's the end of that song has a real choral kind of a call, and Mumford & Son come out and they join in that final choral of the song, and the place is just going batshit. And then they thanked everybody. They said, thank you for still caring and loving this album that changed our lives and blah, blah, blah. And they went off stage and came back for their first, I think, 7 or 8 encores. And it's just like, oh my God, dude. And it's funny because I love that band since I was a kid, literally. And they're, not much older than us. I mean, they're
55, something like that.
Yeah, well, yeah. They're 5-6 years older, maybe. They were kids when they hit.
Yeah.
So, it was fun to see and the crowd. There was, kids in the crowd with their parents. There was old duster fucks in the crowd. There were hipsters in the crowd. There were young douche nozzles in the crowd that you had to tolerate in a pit situation.
Yeah.
6 kids, 3 couples of D-bags start coming in crowding the wife and I. After the band started playing, and we've been standing there for an hour or more. And I'm literally having to, get large.
Yeah. I totally understand.
Expand the back and stand my ground as these girls try to push into our space, and I'm just like, back the fuck up. So there's a lot of ground around here you can be at. So trust me, this foot I'm standing on right now that you want to be on is not going to be a pleasant concert for you.
Yeah.
If you really need this square foot,
I'm going to be leaning into the whole time.
There were times when I literally, put my shoulder into these girls and just drove them back a couple feet.
Yeah.
And looked at them
They're
like,
just so dumb.
I'm like, look, if you think this is the square foot you want to watch this show from,
have at her.
You're really not going to enjoy this concert at all.
Yeah.
With your Irish flag draped around your neck.
Oh, God.
Because Bono's going to see that from, 60 yards out or whatever.
Yeah.
Right, whatever.
Oh,
and then when I start smoking, you'll love this. You'll love this. I love when you have the perfect thing to say and the perfect time to say it, and it works. those moments are so rare. There's like little kids around us. I mean, literally, I love it when somebody puts a 7, 8, 10-year-old on their shoulders at a show like this. I don't care.
Sure.
I'll miss the show a moment or two for that.
Yeah.
No problem.
Yeah.
This girl lights up a cigarette, and there's a kid 5 feet from us.
Yeah.
And I looked over and goes, should you be smoking while you're pregnant? She wasn't pregnant. It was... And we were standing with another couple that we didn't go with them, but we ran into them there. And the couple's like, wow.
That was hard.
Yeah. And my wife, Melissa, I love her. She says, yeah, when you want to say one thing to somebody ever and not ever have to say anything else to them, that's probably what you want to say.
Yeah.
I'll never have to talk to that person again.
That's great.
It's awesome.
Oh, man. So I'm not, for being a quote-unquote professional musician, I am not a concert goer.
Really?
Yeah, not at all. I bet you I've seen, seriously, in my life, I counted out the other day, I think it was like 22, my entire life. And I'm 50.
Yeah.
I mean, my first concert, embarrassingly, was Marilyn McCoo and Billy Davis Jr. at the Pilot Fair in 1978.
Wow.
Or so.
Wow.
But my first real concert was David Bowie, which I shared with you before.
Yeah.
If you will, real concert in the sense of like, somebody that matters, right? But I haven't seen a lot of shows, and for whatever reason, I don't really know why, outside of maybe when I was young, my arrogance would have been, well, I don't want to go because, I should be the one on stage. The dumb stuff that you think when you're like, I'm a great drummer. I should be up there. Okay. But really, honestly, when you get down to it, I only go to shows where I'm a mega fan. I mean, a crazy mega fan, or I got a free ticket, which would have been the case with Survivor. I got those free tickets from a radio station in Portland.
Yeah, I don't like shows unless it's free.
Emerson Lake and
I won't eat dog food unless somebody gives me some free dog food. Then I'm right there.
I wouldn't have paid to see EOP, and I saw them, but
Really?
I got free tickets. Yeah, and now here's the thing: I had tickets to see Pink Floyd in '87, and granted, Roger Waters was out of the band by then, but that was a huge tour with I almost said Unbearable Lightness of Being. What was it? What was the name of that album?
Momentary Lapse of Reason.
Momentary Lapse of Reason. The other wordy album.
Right.
And I had a chance to go to see them in the fall of '87, and it was maybe a 30-minute drive. And I had free tickets from a buddy of mine. I was like, I kind of don't want to go. I mean, that's so pathetic. That is pathetic. And yet I'll drop $500 to see Prince, which is what I did a few years ago, to see him at the Showbox, which was awesome. Because he was standing at the door. That's how close I was to Prince.
That's a great moment.
And then I dropped $400 to see The Wall.
Yeah.
Which was
worth every penny.
The greatest singular. I know I'll never see a concert that will rival that as far as spectacle. It was just mind-blowing.
That was something to see. The Wall. Yeah.
And so when I saw the video of the U2 show, I thought, wow. And I'm not saying they copped to The Wall, but I thought of that, the big wall behind. Oh wow, they've kind of running with that idea and turned it into their own thing. So I'm glad it was great. I hate to say it, I'm not big enough fan. I mean, I like them a lot, but I don't love U2. Yeah. So I could see. I mean, it's just not. Well, my thing.
It's funny. I say I love them, and I love that band, and I've loved them since I was in high school, and it really did transport me back to some of my greatest memories of my life. But to be fair, their last 3-4 records I peripherally observed and didn't fall for. I like some of it.
Yeah.
How to Dismantle an Atomic Bomb was probably the last thing I really fell in love with as a record from them. But
I don't think I've heard a track on it.
You probably do.
Really?
Yeah, if you do.
The only song I really know in the last, say, 15 years is "Beautiful Day," which was such a huge hit.
I love that.
And that's
song.
a great.
It's a great
song.
Yeah,
it's actually a
absolutely.
great.
Like Vertigo. You like that one?
I'm not sure.
Uno, dos, tres.
Oh yeah. That's on the last one, or not last one. The Atomic Bomb. Yeah. I do know that song.
Okay. That's the last record I fell in love with.
Yeah,
that's okay. Shit. So we all grow and move and get busy.
Yeah.
But I appreciate your asking, because that helped a little bit. That helped bring back, as I'm in a weird spot today, and it's just it's a band. It's a guy, but it's like I said, it's suicide.
Yeah.
Really?
I've only seen Chris once live. And it wasn't with Soundgarden. It was that solo show he did at the Paramount in 2007, 2008, and it was awful. It was awful.
Wow. How?
He just stood there. I was in the front row of the balcony, and Wilson was sitting right next to me. That was kind of cool. And my wife and I are watching this concert, and Chris stood there in the center of. I don't know if you've noticed this, but he has done this. He'll walk out and he grabs his microphone. He slams his microphone stand a lot. That's his. Yeah. I don't know. It's like a fidget. He's fidgeting. Yeah. It's like a tick.
Yeah.
And he did that for 2 hours. He just stood there and would just stand there like there was no movement, no hair whip.
Yeah.
Nothing big and bold and not to say that music defined it, because his solo material was far more Americana than it was rock.
Right,
it was a lot lighter, softer. But it was just so freaking boring. It was so boring. And I remember even looking over and she goes,
anytime you're ready.
Yeah.
I know that call.
Yeah. And I mean, everybody around me was kind of like, I got to use the restroom. Do you guys want some popcorn? I mean, it was just really super boring. The band was way more interesting.
Wow.
And Tomoko and I walked out and we're talking to a few friends from of ours for just over the years and like, Okay. And we're back from Spike's pee-pee break, and I got to watch some video of the U2 show that I missed. And
I didn't do it justice.
No, but I do regret not going now, mostly because I've never seen them live. And I've had like 4 chances, and I've never jumped. Well, again, I mean, I'm just not a big enough fan. And
when I was a teenager, that was what we did. That was our social. We went to shows.
Yeah, I totally understand.
And I tell you what, I had been to 200 shows before I got into radio, before it became work related and free.
Right.
For the most part, for the longest time, we didn't pay to see anybody, and we saw everybody.
Yeah.
I guarantee I've seen 700-800 concerts in my life.
So cool.
Easily, probably closer to 1,000.
Do you wear earplugs?
Nah. Some shows I have, but not for now. For the most part, I don't.
I have to.
I mean, I saw AC/DC from the second row on a Black Ice tour, and
on the Black Guys tour,
Black Ice tour.
You racist!
I am. And we were sitting off to the right side of the stage, right in front of a stack
that
of
would be brutal.
death.
Yeah.
So at that point, to save what little hearing I have left, I'm wearing plugs on that one. It's funny, the first band I ever saw in concert was Oyster Cult. And the second time I saw them, Foghat opened up for them. And this summer, I get to open up for Foghat and Blue Oyster Cult.
That's crazy.
I know, at the Tulalip Amphitheater. So you want to talk about a time machine.
Yeah.
Spike's totally in a time machine summer.
That'll be fun.
It's going to be a ball. If I can just not geek fanboy out,
I might go to that show.
Please, I'll get you free tickets.
I will go.
Is that the fucking deal breaker for you?
I will go.
I will get you free tickets.
But wait a minute. I gotta show up with sticks in my back pocket. Say, hey, Jeff, you mind if I sit in on something? On a U2 song?
Yeah. I know, right?
No, I'll go. I would love to go.
Yeah, that's gonna be a fun show.
When is that?
July 30th.
Oh,
Sunday, July 30th.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
I know it's not supposed to rock out on the Lord's Day. I know, but we're gonna do it anyway.
No.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. So, so I apologize for my melancholy today, and
no, that's okay.
So it's
when you were on your break, I checked CNN, and at least the latest confirmations seem to indicate that he did indeed choose to take his life. Talking about Chris Cornell.
Through strangulation?
Through strangulation. And we're talking, again, they found his body. They say they found his body in the bathroom on the floor. So, again, going back to what our original thoughts were, it would make sense that he would use the floor as a way to maybe create tension and yet be in a place that he could safely, in a sense. I don't know. I just think, look, it's probably Occam's razor. He's probably just dead because he killed himself, Spike. It's the truth.
Yeah.
It's probably what it is, and it really sucks. But there we are. So let's find some joy here.
Yeah, the guy brought a fucking flamethrower to the world.
Yeah.
in his vocal styles. And it's funny, the Seattle scene, which is, front and center today, the Seattle scene, grunge.
Right.
And how four of the vocalists of grunge are gone, and only Eddie remains, and it's time to wrap Eddie in bubble wrap and keep him safe. I heard somebody post something on Facebook today, and I know the kid who wrote it, and he's a nice enough kid, but he's done a couple D-bag moves in the past that I'm cognizant of. But I like him. But he wrote, Eddie Vedder is officially the Highlander of grunge. I'm like,
I don't get it.
You ever seen the movie Highlander?
Oh yeah. Oh, I get it.
Only
now.
one. There can be only one.
I get it now.
I'm like, really, dude? I wrote it. Really?
That fast?
Really? Really? We're trying to be cute, funny today?
Yeah.
Cute and funny's not on the menu today.
Yeah.
I'm
that's
like, really,
weird.
dude? That's a little dickish.
Yeah. Years ago, I was so there's a studio down in Federal Way, Washington called DePetria Sound, and I had recorded a record there in late 95, early 96. And when I was in the control room, I was talking to the chief engineer, and he was talking about tones, the sounds that you get in the studio. Mm-hmm. And he was talking about the latest Alice in Chains record, the one with the dog on the front, the tripod record, right? Alice in Chains, the eponymous record. Mm-hmm. And he was talking about how dirty and thick sounding it was, and how it was kind of an ugly recording. But he mentioned that Chris Cornell had gone into the studio because he recorded Bad Animals. Mm-hmm. And Chris had come in when they were recording it, just hanging out with his buddies. Mm-hmm. And they're originally going to feature Chris on one of the songs. And so he actually sang a vocal, I guess. I don't know if this is true or not, but this is what he was telling me sort of behind the scenes. So this is the first time maybe anybody's ever hearing this, is Chris was in the studio when they were recording the record, and there was he actually went in and recorded vocals for one of the songs on the Alice in Chains record. Mm-hmm. And he broke the diaphragm in the Neumann because he sang so freaking intensely, just screaming into that microphone, and broke the Neumann. It's an $8,000 microphone.
Oh yeah, I've used the Neumann,
and blew out the diaphragm in it with his voice.
Wow.
And they're like, well, I guess we're not going to do that.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's, I would love to hear the recording
what
of
that was.
Yeah. So I always admired him because I thought he just had an amazing, really unique voice. He had a huge range. 4-octave range. He was and look, I would like to think of myself, I'm not a manly man, but I'm definitely I'm all about the ladies. Uh-huh. You know what I mean?
I feel you.
But that is a beautiful man.
He is a god.
He was all the things a rock star should be. Super talented, really smart, really handsome. Mm-hmm. And enigmatic at the same time, right? He could go on stage and you're like, what's he thinking? But
somebody he had an animalistic quality to him.
Yes,
I heard.
Yes.
There's a lady that I've met in our industry and lives at a different city, and I follow her on Facebook. We're blah blah, but she's her tribute today, or her comments today, were pretty good. That she's like I went to a show, when they were opening. I forget who she was there to see, but it's like Smashing Pumpkins opened the show, and then Soundgarden, and then the headliner came on, and she's like, this was in Chicago, in the late '80s, early '90s,
right?
And she's like, I was in the middle of a mosh pit for Smashing Pumpkins, and then it wasn't until like the middle of Soundgarden's second song that we all realized that we were just standing there mesmerized.
Yeah.
And nobody was moving. They were all just fixed on him.
Yeah.
And she's like, he had this animal quality to him.
Yeah.
It's like, especially back then.
Yeah.
Shirtless, long hair, a little soul patch.
Yeah.
Yeah. He had it going, man.
Yeah, that's when Jesus Christ Pose came out, and that was on Bad Motorfinger. So that would have been what, 91? 90,
probably
91, early 92, maybe.
Yeah, because Unknown was 94.
Yeah.
Because Louder Than Love was 89, right?
Yeah. But I remember, Jesus Christ Pose, outshined all that stuff.
Yep.
And here was this guy who looked like what I imagined a super handsome version of Jesus was.
Yeah, you bet.
Right?
Yeah.
Just beautiful.
Yep.
It's crazy. It's unfair. One of those guys who was just unfairly talented and connected. He had everything kind of going for him. And again, it's that whole why? Why does it work this way that the guys that, at least from the outside, seemingly have it all,
right, If not this, what would make you content and happy?
Exactly.
What would it fucking take?
Okay, so here we go. So last week we talked about what I was sharing with the idea of disruption, right? Mm-hmm. And I was talking to this guy yesterday, and this makes me think of what I shared with this guy yesterday. So I will tell you. We were talking about business and how hard it is to be effective in business because you might have this incredible strength. You know, Spike O'Neill has all these strengths, but your 2 or 3 weaknesses might hold you back from really going where you should go, right?
Okay, yeah.
How do you step over that threshold?
Right.
And for some reason, dude, I'm sitting there talking to this guy and I'm listening to him, and I said, so what are your weaknesses? You know, and he kind of shared with me some struggles he's having. Mm-hmm. And I said, I have an idea. And this, I swear to God, here's the disruption thing. Just popped out of me yesterday. And again, I'm even paraphrasing myself. I said, have you ever thought of living like heaven is real? And it just was really quiet. And he gave me the same face you're giving me, which is no. And at the same time, huh? You know, a little.
Aren't I already?
Aren't I already? And the thing is I think this goes back to a conversation we had a couple weeks ago where I talked about faith. Mm-hmm. If I really do believe this, that most people don't actually believe in things they say they believe in. They hope they believe in these things.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I was
church face.
Right. Church face. So I was thinking, what if you actually believed that there was an afterlife, that it wasn't just the hope that there was an afterlife, but there would be, you know, in a way, the best retirement plan known to man, right? Mm-hmm. This eternity of loveliness and beauty and happiness and joy and comfort and peace forever. Mm-hmm. If you knew this to be true, if you knew it was a foregone conclusion, guarantee for Spike O'Neill, mm-hmm. you would absolutely live your life differently. You would never live it in fear. You would never question your true purpose. You would just step out because you have nothing to lose. I mean, we live on this planet right now. We're in our 50s. Mm-hmm. We probably have 25 to 30 years, really. We might get more.
That's fair. And we might get less.
We might get a lot less.
Yeah.
If we died of a heart attack tomorrow, people would go, "Oh, he's so young." But
right. No, I hear you. I mean, that was my thought when we saw the news today of Chris.
Absolutely.
Before we knew that it was
all fair game
suicide.
right now.
Right.
We've gone past the too young to die moment.
Roger Ailes died today, and Chris Cornell died today. Yep. And you couldn't have two more different human beings. Than those two gentlemen right there.
Yes.
From soul to physical to everything.
Right.
You know, so that's when I thought, we don't know. We never know.
Yeah.
And, you could do everything right and still it all go wrong.
Right. But we live...
if I knew that there was... No. I'm trying to get around your thought process. You're saying I'd live differently if I knew. I'm
saying, perfect example was you're 53 years old. Mm-hmm. And let's say you have 30 years left. Okay? Mm-hmm. You, like all of us, live your life in a way that represents those 30 years, that says, I'm living on a time budget. I need to achieve X so I can have what I've been told is my retirement, the idealized American dream of retirement, retiring at, 65, buying an RV and driving around the country until you die. All those little things that we're told we're supposed to do, or that's our goal, right? Well, if heaven is real, then why do we live for the next 30 years? Why don't we just live extraordinarily until we die here so we can live forever there? I mean, if we know it's real, why do we hold ourselves back here? Because, dude, we hold ourselves back. Why do we take our lives? We can't stand it. And because there's no proof of the other side, there's only hope of the other side. Mm-hmm. We can't say, well, I'm tired of being here, so I just want to go there. It's just going to be easier there. Do you get where I'm going with all of this?
I do, but I'm kind of seeing it from a different perspective, in so much that if I know it's there, won't everything I do be weighed to make sure I don't blow it?
No, but see, that's the Catholic in you.
Won't I live in more fear?
That's the Catholic in you,
the one unforgivable act I could
But that's
make.
bullshit. It is bullshit.
Well, good, because that scares the fuck out of me. Thanks for putting that in my head.
Yeah, it's and I mean, and look, I'm not. This is not a slight on Catholicism. This
Not
is
at
not
all.
a slight on
Of
religion in
course.
general.
I hear you. That's my job, not yours.
If Christ really died for our sins, if grace is really true, it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter.
Okay.
I'm not any more qualified to go to heaven than you. I'm no more Jesus-y or more Christian-y or whatever I'm supposed to be.
I've often said all I need is about 18 seconds.
To what? To pray it out?
Yeah, to just say, to apologize.
I'm sorry.
To apologize.
Yeah, just yell. I'm going to yell extra loud.
Yeah,
I'm really
apologize.
sorry.
I just need a good 18 seconds. If I go off a bridge, it better be a tall bridge.
Yeah.
Okay? So
I'm telling you, it's going to be okay.
thanks. Well, you've guaranteed me I can live better.
Yeah.
I don't mean to be snide
No,
about it.
I don't think so at all. But I think that's how people live. And so I shared this with this guy, and he just looked at me, and he's like, he's really quiet for a really long time, and then he teared up, and he's like, I never thought of it that way. He goes, but you're right. What am I doing? And that really, really gave me happiness, Spike, because not because I'm so smart or the power of Christ compelled him or something like that. It was just realizing that he needed to hear that. He needed to be reminded that it's not about all things are equal, but that whole, I can't remember the term, the phrase, but basically the idea: if you knew you couldn't lose, right? If you knew you would not fail, what would you do?
Right. No, that's the phrase.
Right.
Yeah.
And so
what would you do if you knew you could not fail?
Yeah. Okay. So if heaven is real, why don't we live like it is? We don't. I don't. Mm-hmm. I know. I believe with all my heart, God is real. Heaven is real. I believe it completely.
But you don't.
But I still don't live like it. Because I'm here. I can't see it. I can't smell it. I can only know about it based on what I've read or what I believe in my brain. What mom's told me, what church has told me.
But you don't have hope. You have belief.
I do have belief. I don't have hope because to me, hope is missing a key element, which is
commitment to belief.
Right. A knowledge that what I've perceived to be truth is truth.
Okay.
I don't have hope. I don't hope I like you. I know I like you.
Okay.
So I believe with all my heart that heaven is real.
Okay.
I believe there is a creator.
So what if you lived like that?
I'm starting to.
Not would. What will? What will you do?
I am starting to.
Okay.
I've spent 50 years trying to figure it out. And then in the last couple of months, something's changed, dude. Something's really, really changed.
Someone came into your life.
A legendary radio host.
When's he on? Are you recording
I'm hoping
with somebody else?
See him sometime
Are you recording
soon.
with somebody else? Are you podding around, you dog? You're podding around.
You just keep teasing me. Hey, don't worry, we're gonna have a guest.
Fuck a guest,
and then, like today. Can you imagine? Today would have been perfect to have a guest.
It would have.
It would have been.
It would have been. Yeah.
Although
call him up.
We should
hold the phone up to the thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
How about now?
We should do that. Can we do that?
No.
Oh, come on.
Blindly?
What do you mean?
Blindly? That will be Can you patch this into your board?
Yeah, of course I can.
Can you really?
I really can. I just need the cable.
Do you have the cable?
I have a cable.
Then get the cable. If you get the cable, I got the phone number.
Hang on.
First off, everybody, welcome Bob Rivers to the Spike and Jones podcast. And this does not get me off the hook for having Bob Rivers as a guest, which I fully intend to do on a more formal and professional basis. Rob has been asking me to get Bob on this little podcast since the very first week. And it's not that I didn't want to, it's just that I don't really follow through on much anything, so you fall into that ether of unfulfilled, me. So there you go.
That's not what I heard. I heard you had a meeting.
Well, last week it was totally a meet. There was, but Rob's been asking for literally months to have you on.
Oh
yeah.
And last week I had some scheduling, last minute scheduling changes come up from a corporate level, so it was unavoidable that you were in town and we wanted to get you in. We couldn't do that, but we called you today.
Better you than me. You know how much corporate involvement I have in my life now?
Shut up! Don't even say it. If you say zero,
I answer only to a million bees. That's all I answer to.
Yeah. So first off, welcome.
Yes, it's a sad day today in rock and roll everywhere, not just in Seattle. And I have that down feeling that so many people have that unfortunately I've had before.
Yeah, here, all too often. And it's such a blind side. I mean, when you think about it, the people that we have lost from our Seattle rock community, all of them had the warning signs. All of them, the multiple scares, and man, if this doesn't change soon, there's an inevitability coming. But from Chris Cornell,
I remember it. I remember Amy Winehouse. I remember Robin Williams. I remember Kurt Cobain was. Kurt Cobain had issues and was depressed. I mean, these are fairly well-known things. In the case of Chris Cornell, as far as I knew, he was an amazing together person, albeit with some recovery in his past. So this came as an absolute out of the blue total shock. Are you hearing anything else from anybody else?
No, I got woken up last night from a text from our friend Jeff Cathan at like 2 a.m. And my phone texted, and the tone went off, and I was like, holy crap! And I got up, woke up at 5 and started looking for news, and didn't really see anything. And there were family was going to work with examiners to find a cause of death. And I'm like, okay.
Right.
And I'm thinking, okay, I just saw the guy play in November with Temple of the Dog. And I spoke to the fact that he looked like he'd been drinking the blood of younger singers. I mean, the guy hadn't aged a day. He was an Adonis.
No, he looked and by all accounts seemed to feel great.
And
I had a similar experience to you. Of course, I'm on the East Coast. So I woke up 3 hours later. It was like 6 or 5:30 or whatever it was, and I woke up and my phone had made that pinging noise.
Right.
And you know what it is? On one of the networks, I forgot to turn off the alerts. I don't like my phone to ever alert me.
Right.
I figure I'll get to the phone when I get to it. Anyway, this thing went ping, and I was like, "What's that ping?" And I looked over, and of course, in the beginning, there were no details,
right.
Just that Chris Cornell had passed away at what now seems a very young age to me of 52. And I went, oh, my God. And, of course, I hit refresh, and there was very little information. So I rolled over and went back to sleep. And then my phone pinged again, and Roger Ailes passed away.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, I had a couple of thoughts that I wouldn't say out loud, but because, look, anyone passes away, I don't celebrate it, whether I'm a fan or not. But I went, I don't want to go back to sleep again.
Yeah. It's me. I'm doing this.
This is like that's two. And so back to the topic. I mean, I don't know Chris Cornell. I saw him at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I admired the heck out of his induction of Ann Wilson and the way he spoke. And he was a confident guy. I know he's hung out with several other radio friends of mine, and just by any account, is not the kind of guy that you would see something like this in his future. So,
right.
The family's asked for privacy.
Right.
And obviously, when you're a star, you can't have the regular person's version of privacy.
Right.
But I think you can have love, and you can have, we're all shocked.
Mm-hmm. Devastation.
And we're not going to be judgmental about it. It's just a terrible, terrible thing. And it makes my heart go out to his kids and his wife, and there's nothing you can do about it except for grieve and celebrate the incredible artistry that he put forth in his music.
Yeah, I agree with all that. I'd said to Rob earlier, when we found out the initial stories were just he's gone, then the details came that there was a suicide was being bantered about, and my first thoughts are just anger because not that because he owed me more music or anything, but because he was a parent of young children.
That's a common one, by the way, for suicide. It is common to be angry at the person, and it is extremely understandable because they have essentially committed a crime against themselves, but they've also hurt everyone they left behind. And I think it's useful to forgive the person after you feel that anger, because obviously they were helpless and didn't know how to get help. If indeed that's the whole story. But yeah, I had that. I had my best friend commit suicide when I was in my upper 20s. I had a good friend, someone I know, who planned it.
You broke up.
And he planned to commit a suicide, and then he pulled out of the tailspin, and I hung out with him and gave him support after that. So I got to see someone question that idea, question themselves, and then back away from it.
Yeah.
Jeff, by the way, our drummer, Spike and the Impalers, Jeff actually witnessed one that deeply affected him many years ago. So it's one of those worst things that can happen.
Yeah.
It's just the worst thing that can happen to human beings is to be in that sphere of something like that happening. And, there's neglect, but then there's the intentional taking of one's own life. It's easier for us to understand an overdose, ironically, because that's also, caused by many of the same things.
Right.
But how are people coping? How are you dealing with it?
It's funny. It's just I feel off. I feel off today, and it's because the blindsidedness of it. We talked about the people we've lost prior to this, and they all had those warning signs, and we saw them on that trajectory. And yet here's Chris, who seems to be, he's back with Soundgarden. They're touring. They're writing new music. He just did a successful, thing with Temple of the Dog. He's got a wife and 2 young children. He's, by all accounts, got all the things that, when are taken away, can cause a person to feel like life isn't worth it. But he had all those things. So, I guess I'm literally still in emotional shock on this, because, there's a sense of tragedy, there's a sense of anger, there's a sense of disbelief. It's all... it's all forefront.
There's a good thing you and anyone listening can do. Take a walk. Put down the smartphone. Do not tweet. I know Facebook and all of that stuff it's comforting, but I would suggest be alone with your own thoughts for a little while.
Wow, that's really actually profound, because while all these other social media interactions are comforting, they don't do you any good. They don't comfort.
Yeah, I'm not saying there's anything bad about that other stuff. I'm just saying take some time for yourself.
Good call.
So anyway, I am frames on my beehives because the apple blossoms are blossoming. I know this is breaking news and not likely to affect the Twitter sphere at all. But it's great talking with you, and I do hope that we get to do it again.
I promise you that I will give you the full time and respect you've deserved and earned. So,
I don't know about that.
I kind of do.
I've come to agree with you over the years that I was really nothing much.
You're not agreeing with me. That wasn't my. Yeah. I didn't put that in there.
I was fully hyped and overblown. Yeah.
I may have voted that way, but I didn't post the bill. So anyway, hey buddy.
I was a pompous. Now that I get to sit on the sidelines and see other pompous people and resent them, I go, wow, I just saw that. So anyway, love you, my friend. Be well. My sadness goes out to everybody, and honestly, the only thing I know for sure is my sympathy and love and prayers go out to the family.
Hi, buddy. Hey, we'll talk to you again soon. Be well. Thanks for giving us a couple minutes of your time, and take care.
All right, Roger. Take care. Bye.
Thanks for letting me reach out like that to do that. Thanks to him. And let's have Bob Rivers back in the future for a full-on blown-out segment. He had a good perspective on things.
Yeah, that's a wise man.
His nickel and dime wisdom. I do for all my shit.
Vending machine wisdom.
Yeah, right.
Cookie cutter.
Gumball wisdom.
Yeah.
But I do love him, and I do, and he knows I do. He's right, man. We can all have our feelings and feel the need to share them or spit them at the world through social media or Twitter or whatever. Tweet them, Facebook them, post them. But he had the smartest thing. Just, you know what? Just go talk to yourself. Shut up and walk.
Yeah.
Get with yourself and feel, how you feel. Figure out how you feel before you tell everybody how you feel.
Yeah.
There's a noble concept, huh? There's a novel concept, huh?
Yeah. Well, if you live here in the Northwest, you have beaches and mountain trails of hundreds and maybe even thousands of trails, right? And miles.
Right.
You can get out there. You don't need to get eaten by a bear.
Right.
But you can get out there and just spend some time. And it's not maybe in an effort to remain melancholy, but just to remind yourself of what is around you, because there's so much beauty and almost perfection, if you will, around you. And we've lost somebody that influenced us, but
profoundly.
But we have so much left.
Yeah.
And I'm just grateful for him. I will
Agreed.
I will miss not knowing him like I wish I did.
Yeah.
But it's a weird one, but thank you for sharing this today with me, Spike. And
my pleasure. And
thanks to Bob Rivers,
before
man.
before we cap this, you know what? Don't assume everybody's okay.
Yeah.
If you know somebody, or if you're feeling something that you don't know how to deal with, or if you know somebody who seems a bit off. They said last night at the show in Detroit, Chris seemed a bit off. Something was off.
Yeah.
Speak up.
Sang songs about death.
Speak up. Ask. Give time. Take time. Make time. I'll feel how I feel about this, and I'm sure my feelings will evolve on this moment and this occurrence, this incident, this tragedy as we move forward with it. But as of right now, wow, just speechless.